The purpose of this video is to discuss exercise P3-11, but more importantly, not just to show the steps required to do it, but also talk about some of the troubleshooting issues that you may run into as you go through and do a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make every mistake that I can conceivably make during this particular video so that you can see not only how to troubleshoot, but the easiest ways to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start by drawing my line, and I'm going to draw my first line across the bottom at 4. And then from there I'm going to go up, and I'm just going to basically draw the rough outline. I'm not going to worry about dimensions right now. Just get the rough outline in place, and then I'll put some constraints on here. So I want equal constraints between here and here, here and here, and then here and here. Now that's going to line everything up pretty good, so now I can actually begin dimensioning. Now if I put a constraint on that I didn't necessarily want, then I need to go through and remove the constraints, and the easiest way to do that is to click on this button right here, which is Show Constraints. And then as you place your cursor over an object and left click, it'll show you the constraints. So I can look at this and I can see that there's a parallel constraint and an equal constraint, and it highlights the lines that each of those belongs to. So if this was not supposed to be equal to this segment right here, all I would do is hover over the equal constraint, right click, and select delete. Okay, I'm already in a command, so I need to right click on that and hit delete, and now these two segments are no longer equal. But for the purposes of this, I do want them to be equal, but in a lot of cases what accidentally happens is we over constrain stuff that we didn't mean to, and then it's really difficult to get the rest of the information we need. Next I'm going to go ahead and finish dimensioning this piece. So this is going to be 3.5 and this will be 0.5. So now I can go ahead and finish my sketch and extrude the piece, the total thickness of 2, and right there I've just made several mistakes. The first thing that I did was I forgot a dimension back in the sketch, and then I also extruded to the wrong distance. But rather than hitting the undo button, I want to talk about the other way to fix mistakes. Since I know that I made a mistake in the sketch, if I come over here and left click extrusion 1 to expand it, I can left click on sketch, or I can right click and say edit sketch. And when I go to edit sketch, it's going to take me back into the original sketch. I can now place the dimension that I forgot, which is a dimension of 1.5. And when I hit finish sketch, it still has my extruded block. That hasn't changed. But I also made the extrusion the wrong distance. So what I need to do at this point is right click on extrusion and say edit feature. I can now change that from 2 inches to 2.5 inches. And that'll fix that extrusion. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create the sketch to cut out the square portion. So I'm just going to left click on this face here and select new sketch. As my computer catches up with what I'm trying to do, I'll be able to move on. Now I'm going to go ahead and just create a rectangle up in this corner, and I'll give it the dimensions. This is going to be 1 and this is going to be 0.5. So now I can finish this sketch, and now I want to extrude this. This time I want this to go the other way, and I want it to go 4. So I put in 4 right here and I say OK. Now the thing of it is the extrude command automatically does some things there. If I go back and edit this feature, as soon as I set this to go the other way, it automatically turned it to subtract rather than join. But if I had accidentally hit join, it would have created a block that looks like this, in which case you can just right click, go to edit feature, and then select subtract instead. And instead of doing a distance here, you can actually do all. That way it'll always cut everything out. The software in some cases actually makes it a little bit more difficult to make certain mistakes, which is predominantly a good thing. But the thing of it is just pay attention as you go through, and most mistakes can be fixed right here through the browser. The next step is I want to place a hole on this edge right here. So I've got my hole located. I want it to go through all, and it has a diameter of 1.5. Okay, so I go ahead and apply that, and here again I've made another mistake. Even though it looks somewhat right, I did not actually locate this hole. So I can right click on hole and go to edit feature. And now I can select my references. I need a reference edge here and one here. This should be 1, and this should be 1.5. So when I say OK, there's that finished product. Now, that's the end of this particular assignment, but the thing of it is keep in mind that anything that you do over here is something that you can modify without undoing. In a lot of cases, the undo command, which is up here, is going to make it take longer to actually create the part than it would to just work with what you have here. If I needed to change the size of this cutout, I could just expand extrusion 2, right click on sketch 2, go to edit feature, or edit sketch, and it would take me right back into that sketch, and I could add or remove detail from that sketch. As soon as I go to finish sketch, it'll update the rest of the information that I have. As the objects that we model get more and more complex, it's going to be easier and easier to make small mistakes, but those can be corrected a lot faster if you learn how to just edit the sketches and edit the features.